Hey, Jarrett.
Hey,
what are we
what's
talking about
going
in today's
on,
episode?
We're going to talk about the Lakers again because we talked about this
Deja vu.
before. Yeah, we got a lot to get into. All right, let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to Getting Work. I'm Ian. That's Jarrett. As we said, we're going to talk about the Lakers. Jarrett, what are you thinking? We seem like we just keep looping on the Lakers here. This Lakers saga.
Well, again, so first of all, we got a couple of videos to plug here. One, we have our Put Up or Shut Up video that we put forth about the Lakers last week. We also have a video that we just recently recorded around the Brooklyn Nets, even though we weren't thinking that we were going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets. But at the same time, we really didn't think we would have to talk about the Lakers either.
Nope. And here we are.
Here we are. And now we want to talk about a Put Up or Shut Up to the Lakers front office. Lakers front office, write your checks, care of Getting Worked Pod at youtube.com. We'll accept Russian rupees,
Yes.
Chinese yen, high value Bitcoin, or enough tokens to get me a giant orangutan stuffy from the circus.
Please, someone send him that. Please. I'm going to need somebody to send him that.
We just about called it.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Russ got benched. But at the same time, really what they did was they took advantage of a dynamic on the team that was their biggest problem. The conflicting styles between Westbrook.
Biggest weakness.
Yeah.
Really
so
weakness.
Yeah. Their biggest problem and weakness was Westbrook and James on the floor at the same time. And so, okay, fine. Granted, you're not going to bench James. So what you do is you bring a player like Westbrook. Again, we talked about this, kind of more recapping what we discussed as kind of the strengths here in our previous video. Westbrook is a problem for other teams' benches. Westbrook in his prime is a problem for a lot of teams in general. But when you take him off the bench and then you position him, he's a matchup nightmare in terms of figuring out like substitution rotations and who you're going to have in guarding him. And then, when they bring in the starting lineup, how do you align to that? There's issues there that an opposing team has to account for, and especially in a dynamic that we really haven't seen before in the NBA. Because let's face it, who else is bringing in someone with a talent like a Westbrook off the bench?
Right thing. You've heard of other teams eventually having some type of stuff, but in today it's really uncommon. So they took what was a weakness and possibly made it a strength, or at least in the short term made it a strength. Because
we still have to see it play out. We gotta
assume that he sticks around, because we'll get into that, whether he's going to stick around, that type of thing.
Sure.
Now, he still played starter minutes, and that's the thing. Everybody takes the benching like, oh, it's such a demotion. He still played 32 minutes, so you still get starter minutes.
Yes,
he was in the decisive parts of the game in the fourth quarter. In fact, he was.
That's the thing. Yeah, he was closing.
He was their closer.
Yeah.
So Anthony Davis played 37 minutes. LeBron played 35. Lonnie Walker, the fourth, he played 35, and Westbrook played 32.
Yeah.
Those are the same. So he's getting the same minutes. He's got the same minutes out there. He's got. He ended up with 18, 8, and 8. So he got near his triple double that he's always he's always gunning for. But legitimately, he was a plus 18 when he was on the court. He was a plus 18. Lonnie Walker's plus 15. LeBron was AD was a plus 15. LeBron was a minus 1.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that. Goes. That's just because LeBron plays the most minutes and how he's playing. But so
just from a theory crafting standpoint, and what
we're gonna get into theory crafting because that's what I want to.
The fact that Russ, at least in this instance, showed that he's willing to come off the bench,
but it was against the Nuggets.
Yes, it was. Playoff team. Also, I mean, I'm a Joker fan,
right.
But he just happened. He plays for the Nuggets, so fair enough. But and it's hard to say. We got to kind of take a look at what kind of their lineup and their situation and everything like that. But I think that this is a scenario where it's like, let's think about it this way. There are no breaks. There are no breaks. Like in terms of like from the opposing team, you have LeBron and AD at least out on the floor.
You don't get those moments where they're off one or both of them are off the court,
exactly.
And you're like, we can take a break here.
No, you get that guy. Next thing you know, then you bring Westbrook out there, and you never know what you're gonna get. Next thing you know, you turn around, and like I said, he's coming in close to a triple-double, and just the pace, the tempo.
You're always going to get effort. You never have to worry about that.
Yes.
With Russ, like all the
tempo
problems.
Push.
Effort's never the problem.
No.
He is trying. Sometimes too much so. But, so we talked about theory crafting.
Yeah.
Let's do some theory crafting.
Yeah.
Is this the team that you go with? Or... there's sort of three. I sort of see this in the three scenarios. We'll talk about three different different teams per se. The Lakers, if they just kept it as it is, they move. Let's say best case scenario, everybody's happy. So we're going to take personality kind of out of it for a little bit, though you can't when you're really playing.
Sure.
So we're going to say Westbrook finds a place and he finds him and he's happy and he is a member of the team and kumbaya, rah rah, all that. So he's coming off the bench, super, super duper 6-man, so to speak, an all-powerful 6-man, quite frankly.
Right.
LeBron and AD running the offense in the starting unit, and you just keep this team as it is. Maybe add a little piece here or there, but no major stars moving off of this team. That's scenario one. Scenario two. Has been in the news here lately. It's old news and then became new again because Miles Turner said, hey, I don't know why they haven't traded for me yet. The other option is trading for Miles Turner. So going to Indiana, Indiana's going to want at least one draft pick. They are a little bit over. You got them over the barrel a little bit because Miles Turner is also a free agent at the end of the season, which he hasn't been in past seasons.
Yeah.
So his contract is finally coming to an end. He's making $18 million. That's nothing just to sneeze at. You can't just roll. You're going to have to give up more than just a draft pick. So we kind of threw together, and this was just a quick, just to make the money work type of deal.
Right.
Was where we're talking about sending Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn. So that's about $18 million. Money works just about. Both have 1-year contracts. Like I said, a total. Patrick Beverley makes $13 this year, and Kendrick Nunn is making just a little over $5 million. Taking that plus a number one pick or a first round pick, unprotected. It would have to be unprotected, otherwise, Indiana's not going to want it. And they send you back Miles Turner. So their team would then be Miles Turner, Russell Westbrook, LeBron, Anthony Davis. I'm not saying these people are starting. I'm just saying the people.
Right.
Lonnie Walker, and then the bench guys, the Dennis Schroeders, the Matt Ryans, Austin Reeves.
Right.
That's what I was trying to find. Yeah.
Was it right. So Toscano Anderson.
you would have that team. So your starters, again, that would mean Russ is still coming off the bench.
Right.
But now in your starting lineup, you're looking at a lineup that includes, you move Anthony Davis over to the power forward position, and you move Miles Turner to center. So you have the front court of Miles Turner, AD, and LeBron.
Correct.
Your back court would be Lonnie Walker and an unnamed point guard.
Schroeder, maybe.
Schroeder's the natural guy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think that probably the best fit, at least in the short term.
Sure.
For that.
I mean, Scottie Pippen Jr. is still there, so
yeah, sure.
Throwing it out there.
Yep. It put Walker at the 2 where he's more comfortable. It put AD at the 4 where he's more comfortable. Sure. James can pretty much kind of slot in wherever he wants, and that's the other thing too, because again, like, you could slot, like, it's kind of like the Spinal Tap drummer scenario. Like, you can kind of put whoever you want at point guard in that situation.
You need a shooter at that point. Yeah,
then
find your best jump shooter and put him there. He's your point guard.
Fair enough, because LeBron's going to be running point as long as he's on the floor. So, in that case, you've got people.
Scenario 2.
Yeah, and you've got and I would say the only thing I'll say is that I see it as a natural fit, but we'll dig into that a little bit later.
Right, I was gonna say let's hang on before you start digging into it, and then scenario 3. Scenario 3 we talked about, which is the one that's sort of the biggest trade out there as far as the Lakers go, though they're in every trade scenario known to mankind these days. So the other one is, of course, Westbrook's your problem. Send him away. No problem. He only makes $47 million. So most teams can just absorb that. Not much money at all. Just throw that out there. I don't know what the big deal is. But no. So to Indiana again, you would need, and they would get back Buddy Hield, 3-point shooter, and Miles Turner. And there's at least 2 draft picks going out at that point. So you at least have 2 draft picks. That has always been the holdup. That's the holdup the Lakers have been unwilling to send, or at least 2 unprotected draft pick first rounders has been sort of their bugaboo, and rightfully so, because this really comes down to LeBron, as great as he is like 900 years old basketball terms. So there is going to be a not too distant future that LeBron's just simply not going to be around anymore. So are you giving up that future? Because now you're extending it. You're extending it way out. They've already given up a lot of draft picks. They don't have a lot of draft picks to begin with because of bringing AD there. But in this scenario, they send Russell Westbrook away, his $47 million. Buddy Hield and his 22 and Miles Turner and his 18 come back. 2 draft picks go away. Now your team is going to be a starting lineup of likely a Pat Bev. You have Pat Bev, you have Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's clearly your 2 at that point. LeBron's your small forward. AD is your power forward, and Miles Turner is your center.
Right.
With Lonnie Walker coming off the bench, your bench is deeper. You got Lonnie Walker off the bench. You've got Reeves off the bench still. You've got Schroeder, Matt Ryan. Like, you've got a bench sort of where they're supposed to be. You have given up your entire future for possibly a 1 or 2 year rental.
Right.
Let's talk about scenario 1. We had sort of talked about scenario 1 where he has come off the bench.
Well, kind of what it would work out. Again, assuming, and all of this is assuming if Westbrook stays with Los Angeles, that he's willing to come off the bench. It's really the only reason why this conversation can even work in the first place. The reason why we have to assume that he is going to be coming off the bench, because it just cannot work the way it was constituted at the beginning of the year.
See our
hot take. I mean, there's no reason for that.
Put up or shut up, front office. You did this. Yes. You started this.
Yes.
LA front office. You put this together. Yes. And for some reason, thought it was a good idea.
Yes. So Westbrook comes off the bench. I think the biggest issue I see with this is like right now. I think like the front court starting's fine. You have positions in place, but you have Walker coming on at the 3, which isn't terrible, but isn't really his best place. AD shouldn't play center for any significant minutes.
I mean, he's big and slow. Doesn't that count?
No.
Yeah, he won't. No.
He's not. He is not comfortable there. It takes a pounding. Yes.
That position by nature, even in a softer NBA.
Yes.
It's still much more physical position. AD's not exactly the most.
No, he's not. He's a little wuss. And
so I was just gonna say he's not quite as. He's a little on the injury prone side.
Well,
a lot on the injury.
Too.
Actually, his face might be next to injury prone in the dictionary. It very well might be.
But that's the other problem too, is then depth at the 4-5 slot is not very big for them right now. No, and so that's another big issue for them, especially when you have both James and AD at the same time, potentially having injury issues going deeper into this year.
Right.
And so again, I mean, it's like, this is where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm really excited about the idea of Russ coming off the bench, because I think that, and I'm not saying this makes them championship contenders, but I think that this is their best shot to get deeper than they would as currently constituted. Fine, but there's still a lot of problems that they need to shore up, which is reasons why we have scenarios 2 and 3. But just as looking at it as it's set up right now, there's still some issues that they need to, from a personnel perspective, that they definitely need to take care of. I think that one thing that they can put in place there is, I think the offense in general will work better than it was with when you have someone like, say, like a Lonnie Walker at the 2, and then you kind of figure out how you want to position the 3, maybe give some JTA some minutes, maybe at the 4, and drop James at the 3. You do have some guys that can come in at the big spot, but the big thing there is really what it does to that second squad, where again you have an opportunity to bring in like your Austin Reeves and your Matt Ryans, be able to do that drive and kick that Russell Westbrook is so good at doing.
We talk about gravity a lot of times in the NBA. There's guys that just, LeBron's a perfect example. When LeBron gets the ball and he gets a head of steam and starts going in, the gravity of LeBron doing that does this to everybody else. Everybody else just defensively is drawn to him. Even if they don't leave their man, their eyes are over here. They're watching where that ball is, where the ball's going, what's going to happen. And everybody kind of leans in. And that's why LeBron, it's always been known, hence the front office are a bunch of idiots, I believe. LeBron is best surrounded by shooters, because when he goes through, it is Jupiter going through the solar system. Everybody's paying attention. Everybody comes in, and it draws, which means those guys on the outside are a little more open. It's easy passes, that type of thing. So long as you have that, when LeBron's out there, that's great. You would have that exact same effect, because the same thing happens when Westbrook's on the court too. When Westbrook is being that guy. At
an incredibly faster pace.
Much smaller, absolutely.
Smaller, but much faster
much faster.
Westbrook is playing his game the way he
doesn't have the full arsenal
play.
that LeBron has either. But I mean, or he's going to pass it out for a wide open 3. My point is, you would have another guy that draws just as much, maybe just as much, might not, but that type of an effect. Because remember, you're not playing against starters at that point. You're playing against bench guys.
Exactly.
And to them, Westbrook is going to be a god compared to whatever they're usually kind of facing up against. Now you have that same type of an effect